Okay, guys, hello and welcome to Laddu and Jalebi. No,
Gupshup with Laddu and Jalebi.
aka Valoka and Matt.
I am Matt, and this is Valoka.
He's Laddu and I'm Jalebi. It's been a month now, but that's fine. We'd asked you guys.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah, we'd asked you guys to ask us questions about our intercultural, interracial relationship. I was born in India and I moved to Toronto, and that is where we met in Toronto. And then we fell in love and got married.
I am Hungarian born. I was 9 years old when my parents immigrated to Canada, which is where I spent most of my life. Spent about 20 years of it growing up in Toronto with my mother and my brother. And once Valoka and I met, we got married. We decided to move to British Columbia, where we've spent the past 3 years now.
Because
And-
it's sunny. Let's get to the questions now. The first question is, do you know each other's languages? Asked Richa. Wait, should I even say the names?
I think we can keep it anonymous.
Okay, so
It's
the
probably
first
better.
so the first question is, I can just tag them.
Yes.
Do you know each other's languages? I don't know Hungarian. I know English.
That's actually really crazy how we both learned a second language, and that's what we use to
Yeah.
communicate, right?
Yeah, I am trying my best to learn Hungarian. The one thing I know is that milio pussies, it means 1 million kisses. And I love how every time we get a message from his mom or his grandma, it'll end with a milio pussies for you guys. And I know how to say yes and no, igen and nem.
That's right.
I can form a few sentences here and there, but also, just FYI, Hungarian language is the most difficult, considered to be the most difficult in the world. Because people are like, it's been 4 years and this is all you know? Believe me, I'm trying.
I mean, I feel like I'm in the same boat because
Yeah.
I still haven't learned how to speak Hindi or Sindhi at all. I can say a few words in Hindi that are basically the relationships, the family relationships between people. You know,
Hold on.
Uh,
What's mother's sister?
Masi.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think the most important thing and probably the funniest thing I can say in Hindi is kya bol rahe ho, which means what did you say?
You keep hearing me say it to my parents when I talk to them on the phone.
Nai mami.
I feel like you still know more Hindi than I know Hungarian. That's for sure.
It's possible, but what I've noticed is even when my mom's speaking in Hungarian, you are able to understand without understanding the words, still understand the context, the content of what she's saying.
Yeah, I think I understand emotions more, but for you, because when I speak with my parents, I speak in English. So for you, you
Yes.
actually understand what's going on. But I love how from time to time in our relationship, this whole language thing comes up, and I think it's such a big part of our relationship, and we don't even realize it. And that has, I think, encouraged us to learn more languages. And so, you know how we were trying to learn Spanish at one point?
I know palak paneer,
Yeah.
spinach, and paneer is, well, paneer is paneer. It's a
Yeah.
dairy product, similar to like a tofu and like a cottage cheese. There's no equivalent for it in English.
No,
to
I
be
don't think
honest.
there is a word for paneer in English. Yeah, you're right. But when it comes to food, we know quite a bit because I
That's
do
right.
know purkas, I know the Hungarian goulash, which is literally one of my favorite dishes ever. No, wait.
No, you like
The
lecho.
tomato. Lecho.
That's right. That's right.
Lecho is my absolute favorite dish. Hungarian dish. Can you quickly go check if it's still recording? So the next question is culture shocks after getting married. Okay, first of all, I definitely want to start with this thing. And it's big. The temperature difference. It's wild how used to cold he is because he's been in Toronto most of his life.
That's right. That's right.
And I will literally be in like 7 layers of clothing and have a blanket on top of me. And I will see him stand in the balcony with like either just a shirt on or nothing on. I mean, shirtless.
shirtless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
short. When it's like 16 degrees, I'll be like, oh, it's chilly. And Matt will be like, wow, this is perfect for me. And I'm like, So his perfect temperature is so different than mine. Mine is close to like 26 degrees.
Yeah, there's definitely about
Yeah.
a 10 degrees difference in
Straight
our
up.
comfort levels for.
But we've also had a lot of arguments when it comes to this because you'll be like, it's warm, and I'll be like, no, it's cold. And then, and then you're like, it's warm. I'm like, no, it's warm for you. For me, it's cold. The other thing is, okay, this is funny, but measuring things. So here's the thing. I grew
Right.
up in India and in Indian kitchens, right? So in India, when you grow up as a child, you see anybody who's cooking just like estimate things when they put it in the food while they're cooking. So like spices or whatever the hell it is. You just like, follow your intuition. And we are not taught to follow like a specific amount or recipe too strictly. But here, I think a lot of people rely on recipes and then it becomes very like this 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon.
The thing that causes that difference, in my opinion, is I read a lot of cookbooks,
Yeah.
and they always have the measurements. The purpose of it is that so you can recreate the exact same flavor for a dish each time you make it.
Yeah.
Which, having worked in restaurants for a couple of years, I actually got very used to that. So even cooking at home, I would measure things. But I myself did not grow up with my mother measuring things when she was cooking. It was always freestyle.
Yeah.
One point in the kitchen is I always use a cutting board and a large knife.
Oh yeah, hold on, that's another thing. This is so funny. So in India, I grew up watching my mom or my cook like, cut veggies like this with the knife in your hand and then you cut it, right? He's so not used to it. So every time I did it, it would like freak the fuck out of him. Like,
you're gonna cut your finger off.
Because here it's like you put it on a cutting board, you put the veggie, and then you cut it with the knife towards the cutting board, which I know is like safer. Okay, and then the third one would be socks. So for me,
Currently
still
wearing socks.
it. It's really weird to wear socks inside the house. Maybe it's just my upbringing. When I was a child, every time we entered the house, the first thing we'd do is take your shoes and socks off and also most likely go and wash your feet. That's like a common practice in a lot of houses in India. And so I grew up with that practice. And so now the first thing I do when I come home is literally take my shoes and socks off. Sometimes I wash my feet.
I think it's just a practice that I picked up, having lived in Toronto in the cold country for so long, that I always have the socks on. I do prefer to be without socks.
I can't do socks inside the house. That's just not it for me. That's actually a pretty big difference that we deal with almost on a daily basis.
Take your socks off.
Take your goddamn socks off.
My number one culture shock is the size of the family.
I knew that was coming.
It's not to say that if I had grown up in Hungary, that would be as much of a shock. It's just having immigrated with just 2 family members to another country. I didn't grow up with a big family or a large group of people around me. When we meet up with our Indian family members and friends and everything, and it's like 100 people, I'm like, whoa, hold on a second.
Because you're not used to so many people. Like,
that's right.
Growing up in India, a lot of our weekends we'd go to our relatives' place and you're just surrounded by like 30, 40 people.
They're still fairly large families from my side in Hungary as well, because like even my grandfather was one of 5 siblings. So it's not like the traditional nuclear family where it's like 2 parents, 2 children, 1 house.
I think that's more common here in Canada and States, and maybe not that much in Europe, right?
I guess travel would be the other point, because Veloka, you've spent so much time traveling within India and then outside of India. Meanwhile, after my family moved to Toronto, we spent our lives in Toronto. So for me, having moved to British Columbia was huge.
Yeah.
And then after that, going to visit Mexico, going to LA, and soon we'll be going to India and Dubai. And I'm looking forward to all the traveling that we're going to do, because it's so new to me.
The next question is, did you guys have a big fat Indian wedding?
No, not yet.
And you know what? I haven't been back in my own country for 5 years. We met and we fell in love and we wanted to get married but I think it was right around the time when COVID hit.
We had gotten married in December of 2019.
2019.
And COVID hit and everything was shut down by April.
So that year we couldn't. And we waited another year. Again, it was COVID time. So that year we couldn't. The next year we moved to Kamloops, BC, where we started our own business.
Right.
And this business was a retail store business. So we had to stay in the store that entire year because it was our business. And so that year we couldn't. And finally, in 2023, we had this opportunity to go like, okay, this is the year when we do our big fat Indian wedding. And
this is the year when bureaucracy said,
nope.
No Indian visas to Canadian citizens.
So he didn't get an Indian visa because of the issues between India and Canada. And so again, it's postponed another year. Thing is, I didn't want to do like this really big fancy Indian wedding where, you spend like, I don't even know, thousands of dollars. Because my idea was always, I would rather put that money into something else, be it travel, be it, anything else. I just don't like the idea of doing this grand wedding. But my parents do love, not grand, but they want us to celebrate it together and, with the relatives we love. So we did want to do a small wedding. And by small, I mean 300 people.
Small.
I think it's small comparatively. That's just how it is.
Back home. Fair. And that's fair because, again, that relates back to the size of the family and the friend circle, extended family, etc., etc.
So we did want to do a little bit of celebration where we dance. There's so many small little ceremonies that even he was really interested in.
I'm looking forward to wearing like a necklace made of cash and riding in on a horse. That I know it sounds bougie, but it would be pretty like badass.
I think it's really cool. And then there's these ceremonies which I really want to do. Sindhi weddings, we do this thing where all my relatives will tear off his clothes all the way till his boxers, and then he has to be in those clothes all day long. And then in the night, there's like this really fancy reception kind of a party, and everybody's dressed really well, but the groom has to still be in those like torn clothes. And
aren't you guys supposed to like pour oil on my head too?
Yeah,
or something?
but I think we might skip that. We'll see. The ceremony where my sisters, all his sister-in-laws, will hide your shoes,
yes.
And then he has to try to find the shoes, and if he can't, he has to give money to his sister-in-laws. Yeah, so we haven't had one yet, but looking forward to it.
Yes. Even learning some dance steps and choreography so we can perform.
Yeah, we've learned Kala Chashma.
Yes. And we're learning
Gali.
Sadi Gali.
Yeah.
I'm glad I remembered the name of it correctly this time, because I keep saying Chadi Gali, which is...
No, it means underwear. Okay, so the next question is, how did you guys meet? So we met on Bumble. I was in Toronto 1 month before my college was supposed to start, and I was lonely. I'm a person who cannot be without people around me. So I needed friends. I needed somebody to hang out with me. And so I started texting people on Facebook. I downloaded Bumble. I started texting people on Bumble. Literally like, hey, I'm new to the country. I have no friends here. I don't know anybody. Do you want to hang out? And I think that's how we met. First date. He invited me to a bar, and
we went out for a couple drinks.
And literally straight up for 2 hours, I was talking and he was quiet. And this is where
listening.
I was listening. Literally on our first date was where we realized the stark difference between our personalities. Because I was just like, wow, I was like talking, I was loud, and he was just like...
And I'm just like the quiet, shy person.
Yeah, he was shy. You were nervous. It was a beautiful date though, because after drinking, he took me to his workshop where him and his best friend used to do a lot of woodworking. And we ended up painting. No, actually, he painted a moon that night. And I was just like watching you, recording you paint the moon.
And the funniest thing is, after all this, when we had headed home, we found out we live one street apart from each other.
Yeah, which we didn't know. We were literally going back home. We said our goodbyes. We're going back home and we're like, We're literally the same train. What stop do you get off at? What stop do
Yeah,
you get off
the
at?
exact same stop. Wait, which street do you live in? Oh, that's like a 5-minute walk for me.
I think the fact that
That's
we lived so close to each other plays a big role in
it was
our
a
relationship.
huge impact
Yeah.
on spending time together, and it was a huge impact on how fast paced our relationship developed because we got married a year after.
We married a year after we started dating.
Yeah. And
Cool.
but we saw each other almost every single day once we
Once we
had our
found
first-
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. We'd go out, grab a coffee before your
Classes.
class started.
Yeah. So this is not a question. This person decided to just leave a comment. I'm going to talk about it because it's been like such a big topic in our relationship. And the
Okay.
comment is, he cooks better than you. I do cook sometimes when it's necessary.
Really well, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't enjoy cooking as much as I enjoy other activities. I see cooking as any other activity like swimming, skating, painting, dancing, all of those things. But there is this stereotype, right, where cooking is such a female domain thing that if you are a female, especially from India, and you don't know how to cook, it becomes such a big deal. And the fact that he is literally a chef and he does all the cooking is like something about this. There's so many people who can't take this because of their own stereotypical views of,
That's right.
gender related structure in the society. So
I learned freestyle cooking from my mother, and I really enjoy cooking, and that's why I even pursued it as a career for a while. My ideal day consists of cooking. If I have the chance, I will cook a meal, at least one meal every day for us.
And he cooks amazing. And so
Thank you.
also sometimes he literally picks me up and throws me out of the kitchen. The other thing is the way our relationship is, we've structured it in a way where whenever we go out for date nights, for dinners, I'm the one who pays the bill.
Oh,
And
that's right.
we do this really funny thing where we both will wait for the waiter to put the bill on the table to see where does the waiter or the waitress put it. 99.9% of the times it's facing him. So the bill will directly go to him. And that 0.1% time it's in the middle. It's just funny how there's so many of these very small things in our daily lives that are all based on these stereotypical gender roles where it's like you assume that a man is supposed to do this, a female is supposed to do that. And I feel like a lot of these structures, our relationship is the kind that it challenges a lot of these structures.
I do a lot of the cleaning,
Yeah.
the dishes, the laundry, and I enjoy doing these things.
The last question is, what festivals do you celebrate? Fun! Okay, I love, love, love celebrating festivals, no matter what culture it belongs to. I love how, because we are from two different cultures, we have a bigger selection of festivals to celebrate. So he has
That's right.
a couple of festivals that they celebrate in Europe or in
That's right.
Hungary, and we usually celebrate Holi and Diwali from the Indian side of it.
We have a three nation
Yeah,
selection.
3 nation selection of festivals. But we still meet our relatives on Diwali and we do like a lot of sweets, lots of good food. And we do that here with my sister and my brother-in-law because they're in the same city. I love Holi as well. We celebrated Holi this year. It was so fun.
In Hungary, we have something very similar to Halloween. We don't have Halloween. We have something very similar. It's in February. It's called Farsang. And it's basically you dress up. You're not supposed to be scary in any means. It's not similar to the Day of the Dead celebrations or Halloween. We actually do something kind of similar, though, when it comes to Easter. The celebration at Easter is that all the guys will go to their relatives and their friends' places, well, knock on the door, and the women will answer the door on purpose, tell the women a poem, ask for their consent to spray them with a little cologne to leave kind of like their mark. And after this sort of formality is over, then they're invited inside to have some food. Typical dishes for Easter: ham, deviled eggs, things like that.
But yeah, so we do celebrate Diwali, Christmas, Holi, Halloween, Farshang.
I just feel like it would be awesome to dress up as anything we want, just on on a regular basis.
Anyway, so those were the questions we received. I hope you guys enjoyed our podcast, and we'll see you next time. Maybe with some more questions, maybe something else. We don't know. It's our first podcast. We don't know where we're going with this. We'll figure it out. Okay, thank you. This was Gupshup with Laddu and Jalebi, and see you next time.
Peace.
Stop.
Yeah, I know.